Kentucky was the 15th state to be admitted to the Union, joining on June 1st, 1792. 1 year and 90 days after Vermont, the 14th state, was admitted to the Union on March 4th of 1791. Kentucky is the 26th most populous state with approximately 4,450,000 inhabitants. This places it directly ahead of Oregon population-wise with 300,000 more inhabitants, while it is directly behind Louisiana with some 130,000 less inhabitants. Kentucky has an area of 40,409 square miles, making it larger than 13 states. The state is one of the 4 in the U.S. to officially be commonwealths, along with Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Massachusetts. Kentucky borders Indiana and Ohio in the north, West Virginia in the northeast, Virginia in the east, Tennessee in the south, Missouri in the west, and Illinois in the northwest. Its location places the eastern portion of the state in the Eastern Time Zone and the western portion of the state in the Central Time Zone. The highest point in Kentucky is the peak of Black Mountain at 4,144 feet above sea level. This peak is located in the Cumberland Mountains range, which are part of the larger Appalachian Mountains. The lowest point in Kentucky is along the Mississippi River at 257 feet above sea level. The average elevation throughout Kentucky is 750 feet above sea level. The state is home to Mammoth Cave National Park, the site of the world's longest cave at 405 miles in length. The only U.S. president born in the state of Kentucky is Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president. His birthplace and childhood home are currently within Abraham Lincoln National Historic Park, about an hour outside of Louisville. Louisville is also the largest city in Kentucky, with an approximate population of 620,000 in the city proper and 1.3 million in the metropolitan area. This city is located in north-central Kentucky along the Ohio River, meaning it borders Indiana to the north. This city also hosts one of the most well-known aspects of Kentucky, the annual Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs. The second largest city in the state by population, Lexington, has an approximate 300,000 inhabitants in the city proper and 500,000 in the larger metropolitan area. The state capital, Frankfort, is located just 23 miles outside of Lexington and 48 miles outside of Louisville. Frankfort is the 14th most populous city in Kentucky with approximately 28,000 inhabitants. This city has been the capital of the state since it joined the Union in 1792. Frankfort is also the seat of its county, Franklin County, one of the 120 that divide the state. This means Kentucky is either third or fourth among U.S. states when it comes to number of counties, as Texas has 254, Georgia has 159, and Virginia has 95 counties as well as 38 independent cities. The most populous county in the state, Jefferson County, has an approximate 760,000 inhabitants and contains the city of Louisville. The least populous county in Kentucky is Robertson County, with a mere 2,100 inhabitants. The modern flag of Kentucky was adopted on March 26, 1918. It consists of the seal of the Commonwealth on a field of navy blue. In the center of this seal, a pioneer and statesman can be seen displaying the motto of Kentucky. Sprays of goldenrod, the state flower of Kentucky, extend partially around the circle, with the words Commonwealth of Kentucky completing the full circle. Throughout the early history of the state, several differing flags would be used to represent different groups of settlers. The state would utilize both the flag of Virginia and the Betsy Ross American flag during the Revolution. Once becoming a state, Kentucky would adopt the 15-star, 15-stripe Union flag until well after the Civil War, when the current state flag was adopted in 1918. The first Europeans to explore Kentucky were Thomas Walker and Christopher Gist, leading surveying parties into the state between 1750 and 1751. However, settlement was limited due to conflicts between natives and the British in the French and Indian War. The first permanent settlement in Kentucky would be established in 1774, in the form of Fort Herod, in modern Harrodsburg. At this time, Kentucky was part of the Virginia colony, however was made a separate county of Virginia in 1776. Following the end of the Revolution, a separatist movement within the Kentucky region began to gain popularity. 9 conventions would be held to discuss separation, leading to Virginia's consent to statehood in 1788. The state would draft its constitution in 1792, which allowed Congress to admit Kentucky to the Union on June 1st of 1792 as the 15th state and a slave state. By 1860, Kentucky had nearly 1.1 million inhabitants, a quarter of which were enslaved. As the Civil War broke out in 1861, Kentucky would at first remain neutral, until on August 5th, 115 days after the beginning of the war, the state would officially support the Union while retaining its slaves as a border state. Due to this conflict within Kentucky's borders, 125,000 Kentuckians would fight for the Union and 35,000 would fight for the Confederacy. In fact, both Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, the president of the CSA, were born in Kentucky. Several battles would occur within the state throughout the war, including the battles of Mill Springs and Perryville, the latter of which was the culmination of the CSA's Kentucky campaign. Both of these battles are considered to be Union victories. Mill Springs would leave 40 Union soldiers and 125 Confederate soldiers dead, while Perryville would leave 850 Union soldiers and 510 Confederate soldiers dead. Following the Civil War, the state's economy would begin to change from primarily agricultural to large-scale industry. Today, Kentucky continues to have a thriving economy and is an important member of the Union. This is Morothy. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.